Okay, so for those of you that may or may not be aware, numerous states now have mandated what they call shelter in place, which it's obviously unconstitutional. There's no grounds for it whatsoever for this fake, coronavirus plandemic, not pandemic, but a plandemic. And so a lot of people are getting laid off all over the United States, and it's causing a lot of problem. I mean, all the restaurants and everything shutting down, right? Um, a lot of people are going to be in a lot of pain as this thing continues to unravel. And by when I say unravel, is they're not done yet. It's just so you guys understand, it is fake. Okay, they're gonna tell you that it's not. You can believe the mainstream media all you want to and cry fake news, but then believe this nonsense. But it's all fake. Okay, it's all. Let me rephrase that. It's designed. Okay, how about that? Coronavirus has been around for decades, if not centuries, or whatever. Okay. Oh, yeah, Chinese virus. Go look at your Lysol can. On the back of it, it tells you it protects you from coronavirus long before anything ever supposedly came out of China. And please God, if you're so stupid that you believe it's from somebody eating bat soup, just get off this thing right now, because I can't help you. All right, you guys are going to have to use your brains here. So the key thing right now is I had one of my joint venture partners hit me up yesterday afternoon because of a concern with one of the businesses that we run, which is all 100% virtual. Okay. And the concern was because we have to get product moved. Okay. And product picked up. And so how do we do that in the event that there is a shelter in place mandate and they start rolling out the cops to, see what everybody's doing and all that stuff. And so I've got the answer for all of that. But in the event that you get quarantined because you supposedly test positive for this thing, it's nonsense time. I don't know what to tell you, but anyway, you got to understand. We got to understand the sheeple are very easily misled because they believe anything on a TV screen or on a phone screen that comes from a supposed trusted authority like the fake criminal cartel known as government. Who's not on your side, by the way. They are the originators of all of this nonsense. But nonetheless, we don't have to get off on all the conspiracy theory stuff. How do you survive? That's the key thing. How do you keep making money in the event that you are given a shelter-in-place order? How do you keep things moving forward? Okay. A lot of people, like I said, are getting laid off. They don't have an access to, if we're a restaurant worker, what are you doing now? Because there's, all the servers are all laid off now, right? They have no job to go to. Even if you're a real estate investor, what are you going to do if you can't show homes? How are you going to keep things moving forward if nobody can see one of your houses, right? Well, you gotta think outside the box. This is one reason why I have run this business for the last 6 years. What I do personally, just so you guys understand, is I have multiple streams of internet income, and I'm not saying that to brag or whatever. I want you to understand the impetus for it and why. Because back in 2006, I had one stream of income, and that one stream of income came strictly from mortgage banking, and it was fantastic. Okay, I mean, it afforded me an unbelievably ridiculous lifestyle and a lot of money and all that. And then, unfortunately, December of 2006, what happened was they turned the faucet off, and all of a sudden, you go from making over $100,000 a month to, guess what, zero overnight. And I learned a very hard, painful lesson to the tune. It cost me, it was a $4.5 million bankruptcy, because while the income stopped, the expenses did not. Okay. And so I was very fortunate at that time, while I was going through, unquestionably at that point, the worst period of my entire life. The book, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, came out, and it caused me to kind of reconsider how I wanted things to be going forward. Because I had done the brick and mortar thing, and I wanted things to be 100% virtual, so I didn't have to be anywhere at any point in time. Some of you guys have seen me. You probably seen the thing with the posts I do. Like, okay, where until they just recently shut them down, where I said, okay, we're making money while riding roller coasters with the kids and all that kind of stuff, because it's set up that way on purpose. Okay, all of my businesses are designed to be run from a smartphone. and you're going to have to start thinking outside the box because the normal that you knew is not coming back, unfortunately. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I'm not here to fearmonger, but I'm just telling you, I know what they're doing. They've laid these plans out for decades. It's all in black and white, and the normal that you were used to is not coming back. So don't look for it. You're going to have to start thinking outside the box if you want to survive and thrive, and that's what I'm going to show you right now how to do today. All right, so what are we talking about? All right, we are talking about an ability for you to generate cash, literal cash in your account every single day, 7 days a week, day in, day out, without stop, and create monthly recurring income through a business I call virtual arbitrage. What does that mean? What does it say? What are we actually doing? We are arbitraging medical commodities, okay? This is what they look like. They're called diabetic test strips, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, just so you guys understand, I know if this is the first time of you hearing this, trust me when I tell you, I get it. It is a weird business, and the first time I heard it, I was the exact same way. I gave it the old Heisman stiff arm, right? I don't want anything to do with that, right? And that mistake, not doing my due diligence, cost me several $100,000 in lost revenue in a few short months because I did not do my due diligence, right? And I'm going to explain to you, how my due diligence happened and what caused me to go through the due diligence process that I'm telling you to do right now, because each and every person that's on here right now today can literally, and I'm not, this is not sales spiel, it's not BS, it's not snake oil, can literally make cash today after you get off this webinar, all right? Not a joke, okay? We've had people, I mean, I can't tell you, person after person has made money day one if they follow instructions, and which most people won't do. So understand that. You got to be able to follow instructions. All right, so when I first heard about this, the way this whole thing got started back in 2014, I did a free webinar, and to put this in perspective for you guys so you understand, when I say stuff, I'm not saying things to be braggadocious, so don't misunderstand. I just want you to understand like what was actually going on. So I'm in, at that point in time, this goes back to spring break 2014. We are it was about a 2.1, 2.2, 2.5, I can't remember what, $1 million penthouse, it was a 21st floor penthouse condo in a place called Indigo. It's a private gated resort in Perdido Key, Florida, which is up in the Panhandle. It's right there across from the Alabama border. And the place was costing me $12,000 a month. Okay. And what I was I did this free webinar called Multiple Streams of Internet Income. And what I did was I did a live webinar where I showed everybody how we were paying for this condo. Okay. And for those of you who don't know, I've lived in nothing but high-end luxury vacation rentals since 2008, all over the United States. We've taken the kids everywhere. Okay. Everywhere you want to go. Anyway, let me put it like that. So and that goes from East Coast to West Coast and back many times. The mountains, Breckenridge, Colorado, you name it. Took them out to Carlsbad, California to take them to Legoland. We're now here in Orlando because they like the theme parks. But and I'm in another one now. Okay, so just understand. At this time, so I did this free webinar, and I'm showing these people how we're paying $12,000 a month for this house or the condo, and as usual, whenever you do any type of sales training, let me rephrase that, any type of training, okay, whether it's on real estate, whether it's on how to make money on the internet, whether it's on anything, okay, the average completion rate, for those of you who've never run courses and coaching, that kind of thing before, the average completion rate is between 1% and 2%, okay? So when I do this webinar, I know the conversion rate of what it's going to be. The conversion rate will probably be about 20% of the people that actually are on here will move forward and take action, okay? And so I do this webinar, and I walk them through, and it was all done live, where I launched a campaign for one of my wife's websites for an ebook combination offer that we were doing at that point in time. And I showed everybody exactly what the sales statistics were. We had 6,500 the first week off of a $16.99 ebook combo, okay? And I showed everybody like all this stuff in real time. And I said, look, you guys know something. You have something that's monetizable, okay? There's some there's some information that you have that other people would be willing to pay for. All right. Well, on these things, when you do these webinars and Facebook Lives, you get a lot of bobbleheads. You get a lot of people that are on here and they got nothing better to do, especially right now with everybody at home, or most of the people at home. And so they'll just bobblehead along, and then get off of it, and they won't take any action. One person, possibly more than one person, but one person did take action. Okay. And that person, his name is Jonathan Rexford, for those of you who know him. If you don't know him, he's a good friend, and we partnered on a number of things over the last, I don't know, since 2013, I guess, 2014. And he goes home. I gave everybody the situation, like, look, I want you to go home this weekend and create something so that you can start making additional streams of revenue, okay? Just like I just showed you here, like we're doing with this ebook launch. And that was just one stream that we had at that time, okay? But nonetheless, Jonathan actually did it. And I gotta give him props. He actually, went home and he did it, and he created, over the next 48 hours, a 15-page report on how he survived 2008 without having to file bankruptcy and go through foreclosure like I did, okay? And that whole system that he had was through arbitraging what you're looking at on my screen right now, which are boxes of diabetic test strips. Now, if I had known about this in 2007, I would have never gone through that lovely $4.5 million bankruptcy. Wouldn't have lost all the houses and the cars and everything else. It would have been a game changer. I did not know about it then. All right. So anyway, I'm just trying to give you the backstory here, and then we'll get into how this whole thing works. So he puts this thing together, and then unfortunately he shelves it for 9 months, doesn't do anything with it. And I was like riding his ass one day, and I'm like, look, dude, it's not making any money sitting there on your shelf. Okay, we got to get this thing launched. And in probably one of the worst internet launches in history, I told him we'll help launch it to my group. I'll help get you going, help you get some sales rolling, whatever. And we launched it. And at that point in time, he started generating revenue off the internet. 100%, like the first time he'd ever done that. Now, I personally, okay, and this was a mistake on my part, I was not enthusiastic about the business model for myself, okay, at all. And the reasons for that were, well, I just didn't want to do things the way that he was doing things, which was, it's the standard physical, you're putting out bandit signs, what a lot of you guys are probably doing for real estate anyway, putting out bandit signs and flyers and, getting car magnets and all this kind of stuff. And then he would actually go out and pick up the product from the people. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have time for all that. Okay. I'm not interested. I'm helping them launch the book. We made a bunch of money. We did a membership course, made a bunch of money. And then what happened was literally everybody, okay, that actually bought it and then followed through on it went ballistic. If you scroll back in my group back to 2014, you would see post after post after post after post of people that were coming on. These are people, good-hearted people. Couldn't close the front door, much less close a real estate deal, but they can make money instantly with test strips, okay? And so all these just testimonials after testimony. Hey, I just made, $85. Hey, I just made, took me like 10 minutes. Hey, I just made, $300. Took me 20 minutes, whatever. Like testimony just like nonstop, to the point that people started asking, like, what the hell are you guys doing posting all this stuff in a real estate group, right? Like, why are you doing that? And Jonathan's answer was, well, this is what I do as a side hustle to generate money, marketing money for my business, for bandit signs and flyers and letters and all that kind of stuff. So that was a legit answer. And anyway, so we have all these people. I'm not interested. Okay. I don't have anything to do with it other than I'm making money off of the book with him and making money off of the membership course and all that kind of stuff. But one day I'm talking to one of my joint venture partners on the real estate side. We had this property under contract. It was a little over $2 million house in Lake Norman in Charlotte. If you guys know where that's at, it was on the Trump golf course community. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous house. And this guy's name is Todd. He's down in Tampa or over in Tampa. And he, the prior, I guess, 18 months, he had been laid off at his corporate job, had finally gotten a job, almost lost his wife, his house, his car, the whole 9 yards, and finally got a job working for AT&T, making $200,000 a year. Okay. But he's now in his, mid 50s, and he's terrified of getting a pink slip again because, like I said, he almost lost everything. So what he ended up doing was he started doing this as a side hustle, right? He's like, in case anything happens, I want to have another revenue stream. So we're talking about this deal in North Carolina, and I just off the cuff, I asked him, I was like, hey man, because I see who all the buyers are because they're all coming through through our platform. We knew who had purchased everything. And I just off the cuff, I just asked him, so, hey, how's the test strip thing going? And he's like, great. He's like, I made $2,000 this week. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, I'd heard people say I made a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, whatever, but I had never heard anybody say they made $2,000 in a week. And I said, so now he's got my attention, right? And so I said, well, let me ask you this. I said, because I haven't done the business personally. I made money off of it through the info marketing stuff, but I hadn't actually done the business. I said, does it math out that if you worked 40 hours a week, you would have made $4,000? And he's like, yeah. And so I just asked him, I said, Todd, I'm like, if that's the case, why wouldn't you quit AT&T and not have to worry about getting fired and just do this full time? Well, you can sit back at your house in the air conditioning and just make money off test strips, right? It made perfect sense to me. Well, his answer shocked me. All right. And the answer was because I don't want to work that hard. Okay. And I was like, what do you mean? You're working 40 hours a week for AT&T. You're working 20 hours a week doing test strips. That's 60 hours a week. You're already working that hard. I don't understand what you're saying. And the reason was he's like, well, I don't like putting the signs out. Okay. Which I get. I don't want to put bandit signs out either. He says, and I don't like, having to go pick up the product or whatever it is. Because if you've ever done it, it's like if you're selling stuff on Craigslist or whatever, where you meet people and it's kind of weird. It's almost like a drug deal, but it's legal, that whole thing. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get that. But it was like, boom, at that moment, light bulb goes off. And that's when virtual arbitrage was born, because I realized from doing virtual deals all over the US in real estate, that I didn't have to be the one to put the signs out, and I didn't have to be the one to go pick the product up. Okay. And I don't do either of those things. And I'm not suggesting that you do that either. And that's the way the business was created. That's how virtual arbitrage became a thing and how we make money of it. Okay. So let's talk about this real quick. Why is this a business? All right, and before we even get into that, let me be clear on this up front so everybody understands. You can make cash, like actual cash, and if you have a PayPal account, actual cash in your account that you can then either withdraw to your bank, or if you get the PayPal debit MasterCard, you can go to the ATM, you can buy stuff online, you can do whatever you want to do today, like literally today. All right, and I'm going to show you exactly how that works here in just a second. All right, so why is this a business? The reason it's a business is because diabetics get oversupplied with test strips because of the corrupt pharmaceutical system that we've got. And they have excess, and what they're going to do is they're either going to throw them in the trash or they're going to turn them into cash. And that's what we help them do, okay? Because most of them always have excess supply. We're going to get into who is this perfect for, okay? It's very simple. And right now it's even more compounded because of the situation with people being, essentially locked down at their house. But it's perfect for analyticals because there's no sales skill required. Okay, it's a reverse business in the sense that, unlike real estate, where if you and I go out there and we buy houses, we have no guarantee that we're going to sell them. The way this business works, we don't have any problem on the sales side. Okay, the people that we sell to, they can't get enough. All right, so it's a really weird reverse business. All right, so when you take a look at it, once you finally actually understand, and I'm going to implore a lot of you guys to hopefully help save you from a lot of what I went through back in 2007, to kind of listen and see if you can connect the dots on what I'm telling you here, so you can understand, because it's unbelievable. Okay, I'm just telling you, it's the fastest, easiest money I've ever made in my entire life, bar none. All right, and it's perfect for this time right now. So who else is this perfect for? People looking to generate cash daily and create another stream of income. People looking to escape their slave jobs if you're currently working full-time for somebody else, or maybe right now you're not because you got laid off, whatever, or you're concerned that you're now working at home and you may not have a job to go back to some point in the future. Absolutely perfect for that. And then in a normal market, people looking to have income coming in daily while in between real estate closings, okay? And that was a big thing for a lot of the investors back in 2014, is because this gave them consistent cash flow day in, day out, month in, month out, while they were in between closing. So if something didn't close, they didn't go bankrupt, which was always obviously a nice thing, okay? So here's how it works. It's very, very simple. What happens is we advertise for sellers, okay? We negotiate the price. Let's say negotiate. We just tell them, hey, this is what we're paying. 80% of the time they say yes. 20% of the time it's like, hey, there's a little negotiation that goes on. But I'm not the one doing it because I've got the whole thing outsourced, all right? We sell to a wholesaler. That's another guy like me that would, who buys in bulk from a bunch of other people like me all over the United States, or it goes to eBay if it's damaged product. And then we buy the test strips. Now, let me make sure you understand what I just said there, okay? Because this is critical. A lot of people are like afraid that they can't do it because they don't have a bunch of money to buy product. And I sell before I buy, okay? Let that sink in for a second, all right? I sell before I buy. Why do I do that? Well, because I'm smart, number one. But number two, just kidding. It's because I don't want any risk. I want to mitigate my risk as much as humanly possible because these are what are called commodities. Okay, if you guys understand what commodities are, commodities fluctuate in price, and I don't want any financial risk associated with the business. And the guy that I sell to, or the people that I sell to, they know what I'm doing. They know that it's their money going out on the street. Okay, and essentially what happens is I've sold and locked my price and my profit in before I even purchase the product. Okay, I mean, it doesn't get any better. I do it 100% virtually. Okay, so I'm not going out putting out bandit signs. I'm not going out and meeting people for product. Okay, I don't ever touch product or meet anybody. In 6 years, I have personally only met somebody or picked up product 3 times, and I'll explain to you what those were and why. The first time I did it was in 2014. I did it as a test so I could train the couriers that we use all over the U.S. Because it's kind of hard to teach somebody something you've never done before, and it basically works out like I said, if you've ever bought or sold anything from anybody on Craigslist, it's kind of the same thing. I met this lady in a Target parking lot in Destin, and the deal was done on the hood of her car, and she showed me the product. I inspected it and gave her the cash, and boom, in and out in a couple of minutes, no big deal, right? But I don't do it. So that was time number one. Time number two, happened to be going back and forth across the country. We're at the in-laws' house, which is in Bryan College Station, if you guys know where that's at. It's just northwest of Houston. And some guy called off of our Houston ad, and but he was in Bryan, which is where I was about to go to the grocery store for my wife, and I made $700 cash before I left the house on the way to the grocery store. And I had to spend another 10, 15 minutes or whatever it is to meet the guy, but it was for $700. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to walk away from $700, even though I don't want to personally go do this. And then the third time was about 4 months ago, actually here in Orlando. It was on a Friday afternoon, and this guy calls up, and I don't have a courier in his location because he's further south than we are. And it was, $500 in 20 minutes. I mean, it was like, and again, deal done actually on the hood of my car. And I got to be honest with you, I really sat there and I struggled personally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, because I didn't want to go do it. And I'm like, well, if I don't go do it, it's still $500. And I remember when, $500 in a day would have been fantastic, and you better just go do it, right? So I did it. So that's it. 3 times, 6 years, that's it. Other than that, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of product bought all over the U.S., all handled by couriers or actually handled by the sellers themselves, okay? So the reason that it works so well is because you're giving people cash for something they're going to throw in the trash. Okay, I mean, how hard is that? It's a no-brainer. It's what I used to say. It's like taking candy from a baby, and I had to change it because it's so easy. It's like giving candy to a baby because you're giving them cash. You're buying, not selling. Okay, and let me make that clarification so it makes sense. You are buying. You're paying them. Okay, that's what you're doing, and you've already got it sold. And does it get any better? It does not get any better. I'm just telling you. All right, absolute no-brainer. When you want to talk about business models, okay, most of you know me from real estate. If we go out there and we buy a $300,000 house, okay, we are not going to sell that thing for $900,000, unfortunately, because margins just are not there. They don't work that way in real estate. For this particular product type, the margins are 200+%. So in other words, if I buy, as an example, $300 worth of product, I already have it sold for $900. Okay. See how that works? I've already got it sold, and I already have the cash in my account for $900, just like that. And I'll give you an example of a real deal I did. I ended up getting involved in on it was Thanksgiving Eve, and I posted this in the Facebook group at that time. And I broke my own rules because I did the whole thing via text, which I don't advise. But nonetheless, guy calls off of our $3 Craigslist Boston ad, and none of my VAs were working. None of the JVPs were working because it's right. It's Thanksgiving Eve, and the text messages are coming over. We have it all built into Slack, so they come over via Slack so everybody can see them and make sure everything gets handled. And it was like 10 minutes worth of texting this guy back and forth, and it was over $600. Okay. Now it's not like a real estate deal where hey, we made 60 grand, obviously, but it's consistent income that comes in. And the best part is, well, there's a lot of best parts, but let me go through some of this stuff so you understand. 200+% margins. If that wasn't good enough, all right, 80% of the people that we buy from, we will buy from every single month. Okay. So it's like you have maybe have a cost of advertising one time, maybe a $3 Craigslist ad or $3.25 for bandit sign to be placed on the ground or whatever it is. But then you generate a recurring revenue stream like cash flow in real estate that just comes in month after month after month after month after month after month. I got people who have been buying from for 5 years. Okay. Matter of fact, this lady, I'll give you an example. We generated this one lady January 31st a year ago. We have done since January 31st 16 deals with this same woman. Okay, our average net revenue per month with her is like 300, and I think it's $358 per month. I've never talked to her, never met her, whatever. All I do is I send a PayPal once a month. That's it. Okay. So I want you to think about that. And we're going to actually go through a model here in a second so you can see the difference between this and the recurring income streams in real estate. So it can be done 100% virtually, which is how I do it. All right. There is no 800-pound gorilla, so you're not fighting against Amazon or Walmart or anybody else. Okay. The way I've got it set up, it's 99% outsourced. The only thing that's not outsourced at present is I don't let people have control of the PayPal account. I used to, but I don't do that anymore. So I'm making all the payments. And then the way it's set up for me anyway is I've got it 100% automated in Podio. Okay, so it's all legitimately, I hate to use these cliche terms, but it's outsourced, it's automated, and it is push button. And the reason it's done that way is because of volume and scale. You can't do it otherwise. So here's how it can be done. It can be done locally, virtually, or a combination of the two. Okay, most people, for whatever reason, they like to start off in the market that they're in, which you don't have to, but you can. Until about a little over a year ago, I had never actually personally been in any market we were doing business in all over the United States. Right now, we're doing it in about 80 different markets. But until November of 2018, that was the first time I was actually in a market that we were actually doing business in. So you don't, it doesn't have to be done where you're at. All right. And so the big thing is, okay, what about shelter in place? So right now they've got the shelter in place mandate, and that's what my JVP hit me with last night. Okay, Ohio just went to shelter in place, blah, blah, blah. What are we going to do? How, because that means the couriers can't go pick the product up, and you got to be able to think outside the box, people. And that's what this will do, right? You guys know what shelter in place is? Does everybody know what we're talking about? You guys know what I mean? The whole, stay in your house. Don't go anywhere because you got to be a scared sheep in your pen, that whole thing. All right. So how do the couriers go pick up the product with shelter in place? Very simple. They go to an essential location, right? What is this? This is Publix. For those of you who are not in the Southeast, don't know what Publix is. Publix is the main grocery store chain here in the Southeast. And guess what? They also happen to have a pharmacy, right? So you just simply have the couriers meet the people at one of these locations, something like this. So you're not having to actually go through, go to their house or whatever it is, okay? So very, very simple scenario, very simple way to overcome any issue with a courier physically being out there in the marketplace, because he's actually going to buy medical commodity, medical essentials, okay, diabetic test strips or whatever. And the person that is actually selling them, most of the time, they pick them up right at the pharmacy, and we meet them right there. Sometimes they'll meet them right at the pharmacy when they buy them. So it's very, very simple to overcome that at this point, okay? So how do you find diabetic test strip to sell? Very simple. This is what we use. We use Craigslist, Facebook, bandit signs, door hangers, flyers, car magnets. Bandit signs typically are one of the very best methods. May not be right now with the whole shelter in place because nobody's driving around, but people are still going to the grocery stores, and they are still going to most of the locations. Matter of fact, they're still actually going to all of the locations that I have in the training set up as far as where we place the bandit sign. So they're still going all those places. All right. Beauty of this business is literally anybody can do it. Okay. You are paying people. All right. You're not having to try to sell them on something. You're paying people. You can do it 100% virtually. You can sell before you buy, never use any of your own money. Okay? How beautiful is that? Somebody said the other day, it was on Facebook, the guy was like, oh, you can't start a business with no money. I'm like, well, that's really not technically true. Since 2008, every business I've started with no money because I forced myself to do that because in 2005, I started a business by raising over $1 million in liquid capital, and I didn't ever want to do that again or be in that type of situation. So I make businesses build themselves and fund themselves and start from nothing. That's what I've been doing ever since then, and it works really well if you are disciplined enough to be able to do that as opposed to trying to raise cash and all this other stuff. So you can start a business with no money, right? You can scale to multiple markets nationwide. There's plenty of business opportunity out there, right? And you create recurring income. Think about that for a second, all right? I just told you about this woman. Her name is Sharon. She's in North Carolina. I've never met her, never talked to her, whatever, but $358 a month comes in, month out, okay? Month in, month out. I'm talking about net income from her, all right, for the last 13 months. All right, so as far as what do you have to do? 3 KPIs on a daily basis. If you guys don't know what KPIs are, it stands for Key Performance Indicator. Your responsibilities, marketing, well, that's the lifeblood of every business, other than cash flow, obviously, and sales. Next up is acquisitions, which in this sense means you're trying to acquire as much product as humanly possible. And then logistics, which is shipping. And by the way, when we get into talking about some of the restrictions and things like that they've got, the Postal Service is still running, and they will pick up at your house. So when we're talking about how to overcome some of the restrictions, I've been thinking about this stuff for a long time to make sure that we can continue income regardless, right? So here's how the flow works. Seller calls in. Actually, that's not really true. Most of the time, 90% of the time now they're texting. When I actually originally did this keynote, the balance was shifted. They were calling in, but now pretty much everybody texts in right now. Okay. In less than 2 minutes using a script I wrote, the deal is done, literally. Okay. I had, just as an example, back in 2015, I literally hired a $2 an hour VA in the Philippines. I gave her 10 minutes worth of training. I said, look, all I want you to do is this. When they call in, here's the fields I want you to fill out in Podio. And when you get to this field right here, it's going to pop up the script. All I want you to do is just read that script and tell them what the price is. That's it. Don't do anything else, okay? And on our very first deal, she netted me $450 in cash, okay? And keep in mind, English, not her first language, though she spoke it very well. In the Philippines, making $2 an hour on our very first phone call, nets me $450, okay? And recurring income streams, which to me is like, it's beautiful. So at any rate, I gave her a bonus too, by the way, just because it was such, she does such a great job on, right out of the gate. Okay, so payment is made via PayPal. Cash is then sent via PayPal to the courier, and the courier is in whatever city they are. We fire in Podio what we call a courier run, which basically pushes all the information over to them, so we don't have to manually do it. The courier is then going to go get the cash, pick up the product, give the seller the cash, and then they ship the product directly to the wholesaler I sold it to. So I don't touch product, I don't warehouse product, I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. Okay. Then in some cases we try to set sellers up on what I call auto ship, which is where we send the seller a shipping label on PayPal, and then they send the product directly to the wholesaler, which eliminates our courier expense, which is absolutely fantastic because then I don't have to pay somebody $15 to $20 an hour plus mileage, and we don't have the wasted time. Okay. You can, if you follow through, you can have it completely automated. Okay. That's how I have it set up. And for the program that I sell people, whatever it is, they get a replica of exactly what I've got and what I use. Script is already built into Podio, and it's set up with what's called the assumptive close, the silent close, and neuro-linguistic programming, which is why literally 80% of the people that have product that we want, they just accept the price that we tell them we're going to pay. Other 20%, you'll get some people price shopping or whatever it is. It does happen. It's like, it is a business. So people are always going to want more if they can. And in those scenarios, you have to be able to handle those objections. And we've got the training on exactly what to say when they come back with stuff. All right, workflows built into Podio to ensure correct product is acquired and shipped. And then I've got it set up so that Podio is integrated with FreshBooks. And I can simply push a button and generate the invoice. And the reason I ended up having to do that is that back in 2015, I was sitting there one day. My wife and I had reservations at this real expensive restaurant, and that morning between 9 and 11, I had so many deals coming in. I think it was like 11 deals that morning alone. And this is before I had all the automations in place. And I simply could not get the invoices out fast enough because I was like an idiot manually doing them all myself, right? Because I had scaled too quickly. And so push a button, boom. I get it programmed in, it generates it automatically, fires it to wholesaler, done. Don't even have to think about it. This is what the ads look like that we run. You probably see these on Craigslist and Facebook and whatever it is, okay? Nothing complex, right? Now, here's what most people do. And if you're thinking about doing this, you need to listen to what I'm trying to tell you here up front, okay? What most people do is they don't build the relationship and train the sellers. And what does that mean? The average person will go out there and, because most people do what I call the backyard business, which is they don't do it virtually like I do. So it's them physically going out and meeting the people, which I don't advise, by the way. But nonetheless, what they end up doing, whether they're doing it virtually or not, is once they've done the deal, because see, I'm thinking when somebody contacts us, I'm thinking about monthly cash flow. Okay. I'm not worried about the one deal we're doing today. While I want that money, I'm thinking about, I want to set this person up as a monthly cash flow, okay, a monthly revenue stream that we're going to get month in, month out. And I want to maximize the return on whatever marketing we did to be able to generate them, okay? And so what the average person does, though, is they go out there and they will buy the product, and then they say, hey, Joe, give me a call next month when you get product, right? And that's it. And that's not how you want to do it. That's why we have everything set up in Podio, so it automatically emails and texts the sellers every single month when they're supposed to get product, because I want them trained up front, and we have these conversations up front on the very first deal, okay, that we're going to be buying from them every single month, okay? You want to make sure that they are trained properly, so you get that recurring revenue stream, and you make it easy for them so they're not looking for somebody else. And in our situation, they can lose our number. It doesn't make a difference because they're going to get it when it comes time for their product to come back in again. So as an example, like they lose a number, okay, I got product in, whatever, bam, here comes the email and the text message with everything. So you don't end up losing that recurring stream to somebody else. And then the other thing that most people do, which is a mistake, which is they try to live off the money, and there's zero reinvestment. And what I mean by that is a lot of guys went out of business because they do it this way, is if they make, $1,000 as an example, instead of taking and reinvesting, $333, which is what we do, okay, it's a third back into new marketing and advertising to continue scaling, they spend all $1,000, and then they end up running out of money, and they don't have any money for signs or for ads or for anything else, and then boom, they're out of business. That's what the average person does. This is what our bandit signs look like. Okay, some of you guys may have seen these. Sarah, no, this is not about real estate. And the reason it's not about real estate, and I got plenty that are about real estate, but the reason it's not about real estate is right now what's happening is you've got a lot of people. Oh, by the way, if you guys are going to go to a webinar, make sure you ask questions in the question box so I can answer it here before the end. The reason this is not about real estate is because you have a lot of states right now that have mandated what is called shelter in place. We covered that on a slide way back here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, okay. So shelter in place, right? This is what they're talking about right now. One of my joint venture partners in Ohio hit me up yesterday afternoon and said, hey, they've gone to shelter in place here. How are we going to overcome this? Blah, blah, blah. Because they're going to start, unfortunately, it's like the whole martial law nonsense. Okay, they're telling you to stay at home because of this fake virus crap. But the reason this is not about real estate is because a lot of people across the United States right now are having a hard time with real estate because guess what? The courthouses are shut down, okay, which means you can't record anything. Now, I have a whole nother program that's 100% virtual where you don't need a courthouse, you don't need title companies, you don't need closings and all of that, okay? You don't need all of that. That's a virtual real estate investor, but that's not what this is about. What this is about people that need to generate cash on a daily basis. What happens if you get quarantined and you have to shelter in place? What happens if that's the case? Because if that's the case, the courthouses are going to shut down, which means on the conventional real estate side, you're out of business overnight, just like that, okay? Unless you have monthly cash flow, but all the wholesalers are going to be, I mean, they're done, okay? All the rehabbers done, just like that. And I don't wish that on anybody. I'm just telling you, that's what these criminal cartels called government are doing. And you need to be able to survive while all this nonsense is going on. So this is what the purpose of this is: arbitraging medical commodities that you can do from the house 100% virtually without ever having to leave the house or go anywhere, and you're not worried about the whether the title companies are open or the courthouses are open or any of that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's what this is all about, and the reason why we're talking about that in my real estate group is because it's I got almost 15,000 people in it, and a larger majority of people are going to see it there than they are on a personal timeline or whatever it is that's limited to 5,000. So, nonetheless, I'm going to be doing this multiple times this week. Across different platforms here, just so that we can try to help some people, because while, yes, I am selling something, at the same time, this could be the life preserver that many of you need, okay? Just so you understand. So as we continue on, the best part about our bandit sign advertising is, unlike what most of you deal with in real estate, I don't have to deal with code enforcement ever, okay? Never have to deal with code enforcement. And the reason that we have that is because we have a strategy on where we place them, and we place thousands and thousands and thousands of signs all over the United States, and code enforcement does not have jurisdiction over us, which is a beautiful thing, okay? So if you're concerned about that. Now, I'm going to give you guys some real life examples here. Some of you guys have seen this before. He's in the Facebook group. You can reach out. You don't have to take my word for it. You can contact him. This guy, this young hustler here, his name is James Webb. 23 years old. He may be 24 now. I have to go back and look when his birthday is, but he bought the course last year in, I think it was it February? It was February. All right. Now, and I'm gonna clarify this so everybody understands. It's only because he followed instructions and he took action that he was able to do what I'm showing you here. Okay. Within 6 weeks, he was able to quit his full-time job because he was making so much money, and then he had his first $4,000 net income week in less than 90 days. Okay? I want you to think about that for a second. Now, I don't know about you guys, but 23, I hadn't made $4,000 in a month, much less in a week. Okay? He did all that only working 20 hours that week. And he did it not following 100% of my instructions, because he did it all manually. Okay? Like Todd, I told you about earlier. Right? Which I don't advise, but that's what he was able to do. And he's in Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay. He's not even doing it virtually. He's not doing it in any other market, whatever it is. But this is what he was able to do. This is the type of income that you can produce. This and a hell of a lot more. Let me just tell you, I mean, I can put you on with like multi-millionaires in the test strip business, which I get. It's a weird business. That's why I kind of gave it the Heisman stiff arm initially, until I understood that I didn't have to physically be involved in the business from a standpoint of meeting people and dealing with people and all that kind of stuff, and physically putting out signs and all that. But this is what a 23-year-old did, okay? Okay? Yeah, Brandon says, I like it when you reinforce the phrase taking action. Well, I'm just telling you, okay, so he was on a, let me explain to you, because we had him on a live webinar, I think it was July of last year, when he was telling everybody his story. He actually came on live and told everybody this is a testimonial. And he gave me like the weirdest left-handed testimonial I've ever gotten before, okay? Almost fell out of the chair when he said it. He told me, he says, Vincent, he says, I bought your course because I wanted to prove you wrong. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I bought the course because I wanted to prove you wrong, because it sounded like snake oil. You make it sound so easy, right? Because I'm telling you, it's the fastest and easiest cash I've ever made in my entire life, bar none. You make it sound so easy, and I didn't believe you. So I bought the course and followed the instructions and then took action. Okay? And that's how his life got changed indelibly, immediately. All right. And it's the same thing that can happen for you. But if you're one of those people that starts something and then quits, right? If you're a non-starter, you're not you're not disciplined to run a business, you need to be a slave job employee in a cubicle or whatever it is, not for you, because you're never going to make it, right? You gotta follow instructions, which most people won't do, especially guys. And I'm a guy, and I'm just telling you. That's why, the whole stereotypical joke about, dads not reading the directions on Christmas Day and wreaking havoc because they can't put the bike together the right way or whatever it is. It's true. That's what we do. We don't even look at it. It's like, hey, it's just, I can figure this out and I'll do it. You can't do this. You got to follow instructions. Okay. Otherwise you're going to get burned because you're dealing with real cash. All right. You got to follow instructions. And, oh, by the way, it is a 7-day-a-week business. And the reason for that is because people are going to be contacting you 7 days a week, which is a great thing. Now, does that mean that you have to work 7 days a week? No. Okay. No, it does not. It just means that you have to have coverage. And that's the reason why we outsource. Okay. So I don't have to work 7 days a week. I don't want to work 7 days a week. Okay. I want to work as few hours as possible and generate the greatest return on income that I can. So anyway, so this is a real life, this kid right here. And I call him a kid because I'm old enough to be his father. He's, 23 years old. And in less than 90 days was able to start generating $4,000 a week. Okay. Off of this. I mean, are you joking? And only working 20 hours? Here's another one of our, Ryan started back in 2015, or when we launched the initial, or 2014, I guess, when we launched the initial ebook. And he's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He makes $35,000 a month. He's in the group. Okay. You guys can reach out to him and find out, is it legit? Whatever, is it real? $35,000 a month. Okay. Like clockwork, month in, month out, because he's been building his business and snowballing it for the last 5 years. And so he's got his whole portfolio of repeat customers, not really customers, the sellers. Okay. I guess you call it customers, but repeat sellers that he's been buying from every single month. Okay. And you can ramp this thing up just like, very, very quickly, just like James did in like 90 days or less. Make sure we don't have any questions over here. Okay. All right. Cool. So here's an actual deal. And this is a PayPal invoice from, when the hell was this? 2018 when we originally did this keynote. This is actual live deal. You can see the amount paid was $340. You can see it was October 17th, One Touch Ultra Blue, 100 counts. And then here's an actual breakdown of that particular deal. Okay, price that was paid was $125, sold for $340. Okay, gross profit was $215. The expenses were $7 for shipping and $10.31 for what I call pay rate, which is the PayPal fee of 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. So net profit was $197.69, and total time involved was 7 minutes and 33 seconds. Okay, or 7.33, 20 seconds, whatever. Okay, all right. And so now, is that lighting the world on fire? How do you make $197? No, but understand, you got to understand something. Okay, it's not like doing a real estate deal and making $100,000. That's not what we're talking about. It's a totally different business model. What happens if you follow instructions is that 197, 80% of the time you will be then getting every month going forward. Okay, because diabetics, as a general rule, not always, but as a general rule, they don't stop being diabetic. Okay, occasionally you'll have people that you buy from that had what they call it, pre-gestational diabetes, like when they were pregnant, and then they have the baby and they're not getting them anymore. That kind of stuff happens. Sometimes you're buying from people that have had parents that have passed away or something, and they've got all the stuff they're cleaning out of the house. Sometimes you have people that, thank God bless them, they got their diets and health in order and they're legitimately no longer diabetic. But the largest majority of people that you buy from, you're going to be buying from literally every single month, month in, month out. Okay. And like I said, the beauty of this thing is that you sell before you buy. So you've already got your money and your profit before you send anything out. Now, I'm going to show you guys something because I want you to understand this. And we're going to actually back it up with Facebook with the post that I did at the time. All right. This is, some of you guys have seen this before, and like I said, I'm not doing this to sound braggadocious or whatever, because I don't want you to take this the wrong way. But so here's a post I did February 10th, 2017. I'm going to zoom in here real quick. For those of you who didn't hear earlier, I've lived in nothing but high-end luxury vacation rentals since 2008, all over the United States, more than 100 houses in the last 12 years. Okay. So this, and they name them. So this particular property is called Commander's Palace. It was 8-bedroom, I think 6 baths, I can't remember. House that I rented for 7 weeks in Dunallen Beach, Florida, which if you guys don't know where it's at, it's on the Panhandle on 30A, in between Destin and Panama City. Okay. And so we're sitting here, all these decks that you're looking at, they're overlooking the Gulf of Mexico. So we have this real fantastic house. It's got a pool for the kids. It's got an in-law suite over the garage, which is where I set my office up and I worked for the 7 weeks while we were there. And you can see it, it's kind of blurry on here, but it's the average nightly rate for this house was $844 a night. Okay. All right. And guess what paid for it? Test strips. Now, I didn't pay $844 a night for it. So I'm not saying that I did that, because I didn't. If you read the actual post, I paid $700 a week for 7 weeks for a total of $4,900 for this house that goes for $840, literally, almost 30 grand a month. But nonetheless, this post was done. And what I did was, if we scroll up here, okay, you can see right here, I showed people, okay, what I did. If you look at this as an image just to the right of the pool, this is the apartment garage. I use this as my office, and this just happens to be the location where in less than 30 minutes, with just a few phone calls, this was when I was actually physically still involved in talking to sellers, I pulled in $2,300 in cash in my account, and I showed everybody how to do that with a video and a webinar and all that kind of stuff at that time, okay? So understand something. This stuff, it works. Now, how was I able to do that? Let me get out of this. You guys can go to the post. Just if you put in the search bar here, Commander's Palace, it'll bring you to this, and you just click on the date, and you can actually see the whole thing, see the house, the whole 9 yards. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay, but the reason that I was able to do that, okay, and we're going to do a comparison here, was because of the system that I have set up, and they were all 3 prior sellers. Okay, does that make sense? Remember I told you, month after month after month after month, I knew that they were going to have product. And so 3 phone calls, less than 30 minutes, $2,300 net in my PayPal account, just like that, okay? And if you follow my instructions, you guys can do the exact same thing. Now, we're going to do a side-by-side comparison here for what it would take to generate $2,300 in monthly cash flow from real estate investing, so you can understand the value of what it is that I'm trying to show you here. So $2,300 a month as a real estate investor, the minimum that you want to average is $100 per door cash flow, right? That would be what was considered to be the industry standard, is the minimum of $100 a door cash flow. Obviously, you want as much as you possibly can get, but if we use the standard generic vanilla formulas, $100 a door cash flow is what you're looking for. So you would need 23 doors. So we say 23 doors at 100,000. You would have to buy $2.3 million worth of property, okay, and put down 20% at a minimum, right? You'd have to have $460,000 in cash out of pocket, okay, before you even got renter number 1 in place, and then have to deal with, the tenants and toilets issues and evictions and them tearing the place apart and everything else, just to be able to try to generate the $2,300 a month in monthly cash flow. But what did I do? Okay, one of them came from a bandit sign, one came from a door hanger, and one came from a free Craigslist ad. At that time, Craigslist did not have paid ads, so it was all free ads that we were running. So we paid essentially $3.50 for the bandit sign, and that's placed in the ground by the sign place. That's total cost. 50 cents for the door hanger and placement. Okay, so that's for the guys that go out there and actually put it on the people's doorknob. For a total of $4, I was able to generate $2,300 a month in monthly cash flow. Okay, and that was in you saw 2017, but that the sellers were generated before 2017. Okay, so that's the kind of revenue that you can generate very, very quickly if you can follow instructions. Now, what we calculate, what we're looking at, is the lifetime value of each seller. Okay, because understand this: 10% of the population. 10% of the population is confirmed diabetic. So we got, what is it, 330 million, they say, I guess. So 33 million people out there are confirmed diabetics that are getting some type of diabetic testing supplies. And then there was an article in Forbes magazine that says that 50% of the U.S. population, because of what's called the standard American diet or SAD diet, is diabetic or pre-diabetic. Okay, now I don't want anybody to be diabetic, and it's a horrible thing, obviously. But from a business model standpoint, that is a good thing for the business itself, because it means that there's going to be ever increasing customer base, okay, or seller base, if you want to look at it from that perspective. All right. And so all that means is then that you're going to have more and more and more and more and more people that will then get access. Why do they get access? Let's talk about that real quick so it makes sense. If you guys don't understand, I mean, the whole medical pharmaceutical monopoly they've got is completely corrupt. And so they get overprescribed these test strips. All right. And when you talk to the people, they will tell you time and time and time again, I've asked them to, stop sending me so many. I've asked them if I can send them back to them, and they won't take them. And so they have excess, and it just continues every single month, right? And the insurance companies won't stop sending it to them. The doctors won't stop over prescribing. And so they're here they are. If their insurance is paying for it, they come in the mail, every single month, and they've just got excess. And it's just laying around, they're going to throw it in the trash, and it ends up in the landfill. So the beauty of that for you guys is that, unlike real estate, with no money, you can literally go out there and generate recurring income streams that are equivalent to, if not greater than, what you could do with hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in real estate. Okay. That is one of the unbelievable things about this business. Okay. So let's just talk about this for a second, because a lot of you guys have never made, $100,000 in a month, much less $100,000 let me rephrase it, $100,000 in a year, much less $100,000 in a month. So let me show you how this kind of breaks out. To get to recurring income. Now, this is recurring income. Let's assume you have 100 sellers that you talk to, which you could be generating here literally in the next, 30 days or so. Well, what is that? 3 a day? 3.3 a day in the next 30 days. If you had 100 sellers and your average net revenue was $100 a month, well, you've just created $10,000 a month in recurring income. Okay. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Our actual average, okay, because we're constantly running the models and running the numbers. Our actual average is about $187 net per seller per month. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that you're not going to get some big, huge deals. I did this deal in New York City, actually, in Queens, a number of years ago, off of a free Craigslist ad. It was really kind of weird. The guy calls off of our Springfield, Massachusetts Craigslist ad, and I ended up buying $7,000 worth of product from the guy, and made $4,500. So you will have some big deals like that. When you go to the website, you'll see some of the testimonials. One of the people that bought the book back in 2014, I actually did a deal bigger than myself or Jonathan. His name is James Claybrooks. He ended up doing a deal for $60,000. That netted him roughly $40,000 because a semi-trailer flipped over and it was filled with these things, and he bought it from the scratch and dent wholesaler that was sent there to clean up the mess. And absolutely incredible. We showed his testimonial shows actually his PayPal screen here. I'll show it to you real quick so you can see it. All right. When you go through here, you can actually see this is one of the invoices. He had to split the invoices up because PayPal wouldn't let the size of the initial transaction go through. But you can see exactly actually what he ended up doing. It was like $60,000 between the two of them. It's unbelievable. Okay. But here's where we're going with all this, guys. You want to be able to do this. If you want to be able to work from the house, if you want to not have to go out, if you are afraid of, no, I'm not here to fearmonger, but it's already happening. The whole shelter in place thing and not being able to make money if you've been, laid off or whatever it is, and you're looking for an immediate income stream that you can start making money from, literally cash today, if you can follow instructions, then I have a course for this. It's $500 upfront and $100 a month for all the updates that we do with all the price sheets and everything else. But trust me when I tell you, you're not going to be worried about $100 a month, because you'll be generating, if you follow the instructions, you're going to be generating cash like crazy. All right, just like we'll go back to these guys over here, just like this guy. Okay, think about that for a second. How many people do you know that are actually making $200,000 a year in real estate? Not that many. Okay, but he had his first $4,000 net week in 90 days from starting. So, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and get you guys the link to where you can go sign up, and we can get you started today. Right now, here's the link. Copy and paste this on both locations. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's getting scary out there, and this is something where you can actually start generating cash on a daily basis, plus generate the recurring monthly income. Okay, and it just doesn't get any better. I'm just telling you, it does not get any better than this from anything that I've ever seen before. And we don't have to worry about the shelter-in-place orders, thankfully, to continue making money. For those of you who jumped on late, one of the biggest issues, like I said, right now that's happening is you got courthouses and title companies shutting down. So for conventional real estate, it's going to be a long haul. And this is going to provide for you an income stream and then monthly recurring income streams, if you handle it correctly, that would enable you to hopefully weather the storm and not have to deal with all that. Okay. Let's find it here, and I will drop the link. But you can go there, you can sign up, we can get you moving forward right now this afternoon, and you can actually legitimately, literally make cash today. That's not a joke. Okay, that's not a sales spiel. It's not BS. It's not snake oil. It is the actual reality that you can do. Here's Grant Cardone, who keeps talking about the fact that landlords are protected right now, which I don't agree with, because with everybody getting laid off, I don't know how the people are going to be able to pay their monthly rent payments. So that's one of the reasons why I like this. And the reason, honestly, back in, like I said, when I got this thing going back in 2014, I was looking for something that had nothing to do with real estate because, like I said in one of the prior posts, you guys didn't see it. The beauty of this particular business is that Wall Street, which I don't even know, what is it doing today? I don't look yet. The massacre that's going on, where they're stealing all your 401k money. Down another 362. What are we at? 18.8. Yep, and it's going to continue going down, guys. All right, understand something. There's nothing left the Federal Reserve can do. Okay, they've over stimulus things to the point that this whole thing is set to collapse because of all the quantitative easing nonsense. And now with all these people out of work and all this other stuff's going on, I was looking for, back in 2014, something that was unrelated to real estate, so that in the event that there was ever a problem with real estate, I still had revenue coming in. Okay, and right now, thankfully, I sort of kind of look like I was a prophet or a genius or both or whatever it is, because like I said, they're shutting down the courthouses, they're shutting down the title companies, mortgage operations are shutting down, whatever. Conventional real estate model, which I don't do anyway. The model I use is 100% virtual, just like virtual arbitrage. But, it's, if you guys got, this thing is not going to go back up to what you think it is. Okay, there's nothing they can do at this point, because this whole thing is a designed implosion, in case you guys are not aware of that. But nonetheless, back in 2014, like I said, I was looking for something that was totally unrelated to real estate, because guess what? The stock market can tank, which is what it's doing, and diabetics are still diabetics. Okay, real estate can tank. Guess what? Diabetics are still diabetics. Not impacted by either of those things happening. They still are going to have to get their supplies on a monthly basis, and they're going to have excess that can then be sold. All right, and by sold I mean bought and sold. Okay. All right. Nelson asks, is there any other fees besides the $100 a month fee? No, there's no other fees. Okay. So, well, let me none from me anyway. All right. We went to, back in the day when we first got this thing going, Craigslist did not have paid ads. All right. So we used to have to fight the battle with the free ads, where, if you had quote unquote competitors, so to speak, they would then go in and flag your ad and try to get your ad knocked out. So they would be the only ad there so they could make more money and all that stuff. Since then, thankfully, Craigslist has gone to paid ads, which was a blessing, even though we're paying money, but I can pay $3 for an ad and generate tens of thousands of dollars off of it. And it stays up for 30 days. Okay. Without having to worry about being interfered with by some quote unquote competitor. All right. And so from a standpoint of, there's no other fees by me, but what are here? We can go ahead and talk about that. When you take a look at the marketing, let's go back to the actual marketing stuff. It's all, where do I have all that? There we go. Okay, it's all the standard, grassroots stuff, man. I mean, it's as grassroots as it gets. Craigslist, Facebook, bandit signs, door hangers, flyers, car magnets. I mean, all the normal stuff. I will tell you this. We had one of the guys literally posted, his name is Scott, literally posted, it was unbelievable to actually watch this when he finally did what I told him to do. Posted a free Facebook post, okay? Not an ad, not a paid ad, free Facebook post. And literally in less than 20 minutes had picked up the product, bought the product. It was $988 and he made $788 on. Okay, that was his net profit on that deal from a free Facebook post from somebody in his newsfeed or in his circle of friends or whatever it is that he knew. Okay. You guys know a bunch of, if you guys are concerned about marketing budgets or whatever it is, you guys know a bunch of diabetics, okay? Whether you think you do or not, you do. 1 in 10 people is confirmed as a diabetic in the United States. Okay. So a lot of these people that are out there. So there's free advertising stuff that can be done. We got guys like Joe that he netted $1,333 week one off 3 free internet-based ads that he ran. There's all kinds of stuff that can be done. But the key thing that you have to do right now is you got to take action. Okay, you got to get the information that you need. You got to get the support that you need, which is what we offer. And I connect you directly with buyers that we're working with. We've got multiple buyers that we work with. We take you through all the training on how to get things done, how to not get ripped off because you are dealing in a cash business. Take you through the entire process on all of that, okay, through the course that we're running. Plus, you have the private Facebook group with a bunch of other people that are actually actively doing the same thing all over the United States as well. Now, if you're worried about quote unquote competition, let me show you what. Here's the deal. Take a look at a map. So somebody on here a little while back said, okay, Aaron Johnson says, I always see someone in my area putting these signs up and wondered exactly what it was. Okay, so what that means then is that Aaron in his local micro market has got quote unquote competition. I don't like to use that word, but nonetheless, got quote unquote competition. Well, the beauty of this model is he can do business in his own backyard if he wants to, but he doesn't have to. You got all of this that's out there where you can make money. Okay, so if you're in a market that is saturated or oversaturated, it doesn't make a difference. Pick a different market. Okay, I'm in 80 markets all over the U.S. I don't care where it's at. It doesn't make much difference to me. I'm never touching the product or meeting anybody anyway. You know what I mean? So tons and tons and tons and tons of opportunity, but you guys got to take advantage of it, and you want to get this thing going as quickly as humanly possible, because the faster you get moving, the faster the snowball builds. And now all of a sudden, 90 days from now, you could be sitting on 10, 15, 20 grand a month in recurring monthly income. Okay. But that's not going to happen if you don't get started immediately. And it's not going to happen if you don't follow instructions. And it's not going to happen if you don't take consistent daily action based on the 3 KPIs that I mentioned earlier. Okay. So understand that for what it is. But my friends, this is one way that you can thrive with the quarantines and the shelter in place and all of the other nonsense right now. And you can do it 100% virtually, just like I do. Okay. So I'm going to drop the link here on go to webinar if I can. It keeps not letting me for some reason. And then I got to get back to making money. All right, go to webinar, people. Just private message me or email me. It's not letting me drop the link. It's here. Let me say what it is. So if you're watching the replay, it's go.virtualarbitrage.io/plans. Okay. I know it's long, but there's Joe Ellen. She's got her testimonial video on there too. $220 in less than 5 minutes from a free Craigslist ad. But then you just go here, go down here to ready to blast off. Don't worry about the countdown timer. Just hit this, and it'll take you to the checkout page, and you can be rocking and rolling today. Make sure you click the button here, fill everything else out, and get you guys onboarded. Okay. All right. You guys be safe. Have a great day. Brad says he found the link in the comments section. All right, cool.